Good morning, everyone. TGIT, thank goodness it's Thursday. And as I always say, I've never been so happy to see a Thursday in all my life. Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2020, and we are going to wrap up fractions as it relates to the operations. We're learning how to multiply and divide mixed fractions. The good news is that this lesson will be one of the easiest lessons that you could ever learn or you will ever learn. For anybody that's just coming across this video and you're not one of my students and you just need a quick refresh on how to multiply and divide fractions, this is the video for you. And I would like to acknowledge someone that has joined us on this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Anthony.
Thank you for joining me as always. We are going to go ahead and get started with class. This session will not be a long session simply because when you're dealing with multiplying and dividing fractions, this is easy. And I'm saying it's easy simply because there's really no hard rules to follow, really. You're just going to take what you've learned from the original steps of how to multiply and divide fractions, and you're going to apply it to mixed fractions. The only difference is that we're going to have to change some things around. Okay, so I believe this class is not going to be no more than, I would say, it's going to be less than 30 minutes today. So please, if you're watching this playback video, make sure that you take good notes. Make sure that you are following along and paying attention. I will leave a PDF link in the pinned comment section, okay? And I will also leave video or the playlist rather of everything dealing with fractions at the end of this video. Okay, so please make sure you stay tuned for that. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so it says when you are multiplying and dividing mixed fractions, you must change your mixed fractions into improper fractions. Now, this is the difference between having or dealing with adding and subtracting mixed fractions versus multiplying and dividing them. When you are dealing with adding and subtracting mixed fractions, you don't have to convert anything. If you want to convert it, that's fine, but you're actually doing an extra step, which in my humble opinion is, unnecessary in the sense of you don't have to do that. Okay. I think it works easiest because when you're multiplying fractions, you're just multiplying the top two numbers together and you're multiplying the bottom two numbers together. Now, again, it is very important that you know your multiplication. Multiplication is a staple. It is a staple in the higher math community. And what I mean by that is you are not going to run away from it. Okay. You cannot get away from multiplication and division when it comes to algebra, geometry, and any other math beyond that if you are interested in that. Okay. So, again, I just wanted to say if you are not as confident in your multiplication as you feel you should be, please, 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 I cannot stress this enough. Make sure that you are researching information. YouTube has some great videos on how to memorize and how to remember how to multiply and divide. So check those resources out. Okay, you can simply just Google or go to YouTube multiplication practice or division practice. You can Google or research videos on YouTube, and they are there to help you. And plus, it's free. You don't have to pay for anything. They're free. All right, so I have two fractions over here. I have 2 1/2 multiplied by 1 1/5. And I also have the same fractions, but with the division sign. Okay. So in the middle here, I wrote, remember, to convert your mixed fraction to an improper fraction, you must multiply the whole number. So in this instance, 2 is my whole number because it is the bigger number that is in front of the fraction. You're going to multiply that by the denominator, which is your bottom number. Then you are going to add that answer to your numerator. So we have 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1, gives us 5. Now, this answer will serve as your new numerator for your improper fraction. And you will keep the bottom number the same. Okay. You're going to do the same thing with 1 1/5. Okay. So you're going to say 1 multiplied by 5 gives me 5. And you're going to add 5 to 1, which is 6. So now 6 serves as my new numerator for this improper fraction. Now, again, please do not multiply the whole numbers together and then multiply the top. And that's not how that works. Okay. So please, your answer will not be 2 1/10. That is incorrect. Okay. So make sure that you are following these exact rules. So that way you can be on the journey and on the trajectory of being successful with multiplying mixed fractions. And I heard another ding, so I would like to acknowledge the student that has just joined us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me, Ms. Ha. Please make sure that you cut your audio off and make sure that your camera is off. And this lesson will not be a long lesson for us today. We're going to go over a couple of problems, and then I will be sure to email you and Ms. Brittany the worksheet that goes along with this lesson for today. Okay. All right. So now what we have here, we have 5 over 2, which is multiplied by 6 over 5. Okay. So remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you are going to multiply the two numerators together, and then you're going to multiply the two denominators together. So 5 times 6 gives us 30, and we have 2 times 5, which gives us 10. Now remember, with any fraction, no matter what operation you are working on, whether it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, you must simplify your fraction. That's very important. Okay, so what we have here, surprisingly, which is a good thing, we have 30 over 10. Now remember, fractions are nothing more than division problems. So in essence, when we are simplifying fractions, we're getting it down to its smallest, our smallest term, or our smallest number, or smallest fraction. Okay, so we have 30 over 10, and when we divide this, we come up with the whole number of 3. Okay, now it is okay if you simplify a fraction and you end up with a whole number. That is okay. So do not, be alarmed, or don't be scared or confused if you just get a whole number. That's perfect. That's one of the answers that will suffice. Okay, so my answer with this is 3. All right, so now I don't know if that was a sneeze or not, but bless you. Not quite sure. But if it wasn't, nonetheless, bless y'all. All right. So now what we're going to do, we are going to use the same problem, but this time we are going to deal with division. Now, again, you will not divide 2 into 1. You will not do that. And you will not divide the numerators into each other, or because you cannot do it that way. That is not how you would divide fractions. Okay. So you are going to have to apply the rule once you have converted your mixed fractions into improper ones, and we've already done that here. You're going to now apply the keep, change, flip rule. Okay, so remember, when you are dividing fractions, you are going to use the keep, change, flip rule. You're going to keep your first fraction the same. And I went from blue to red here to show you what okay, you are going to keep your first fraction the same. You are going to change your division sign to multiplication, because remember, division and multiplication are inverse operations. Okay, and then you are going to flip the second fraction. So instead of us saying 6 over 5. We now are going to use the reciprocal or the flipped fraction, which is 5 over 6. And what do you know? We have a multiplication problem. And we're just going to follow the rules and multiply 5 times 5, which gives us 25. And we are going to multiply 2 times 6, which gives us 12. Now, again, we have 25 over 12 as our answer. Although this is the correct answer, we want to make sure that we convert this improper fraction back into a mixed fraction. So what we would do is, and there is a video on that. So if you forgot how to convert this improper fraction to a mixed fraction, I will leave the link at the end of this video so that way you can go back and you can watch that for yourself. Okay. So our answer here, once I have converted, I have 25 over 12, and that leaves me with 2 and 1/12 as my final answer. Okay. Now, again, we're just going to work a couple of problems step by step by step, and making sure that you understand how to convert your fractions, your mixed fractions into improper ones, and how to follow the rules as it relates to multiplying mixed fractions and dividing mixed fractions. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Okay, and there's my toolbar right there. All right. Okay, so now I have number 1, I have 1 3/5 times 1 7 over 12, okay? And again, please make sure that your audio is on mute. We want to make sure that we cancel any background noise, and we want to make sure that anyone that's watching the playback video can hear me clearly. Okay, so remember, when you are multiplying fractions, you're not going to multiply the whole number times the whole number, and you're not going to multiply the top numbers together and the bottom numbers. It doesn't work that way. You must convert your mixed fractions into improper fractions, okay? So how do we do this? We're going to follow that rule of what we did, and I'm putting arrows right here so that way you can see what the improper fractions would be for each mixed fraction. So we have 5 multiplied by 1, which gives me 5. And normally what I would do, if you feel comfortable doing this, you can. I normally would put a multiplication sign in between my whole number and between my denominator, because that will let me know that I have to multiply. Okay, so 1 times 5 is 5. And then I'm going to add 5 to 3. So 5 plus 3 gives me 8. And then I'm going to keep my bottom number the same. So 1 3/5 as a improper fraction would be 8 over 5. Okay, and I'm just simply going to bring down my multiplication sign, and I'm going to do the same thing for 1 7 over 12. I am going to multiply 12 times 1, which gives me 12, and then 12 plus, and I'm going to put a plus sign here, 12 plus 7 is 19. 19 over 12. Okay, so what we have now, we have our 2 improper fractions, and now we can simply go ahead and multiply. Okay, now remember, you're going to multiply the top 2 numbers together, and then you're going to multiply the bottom 2 numbers together. Do not be alarmed at how big the numbers are. Okay, it doesn't matter about how big the numbers are. What's important is that you understand how to use each rule with each concept. Okay, so I am going to come down here, and I want to say 19 times 8. Okay, so this again is just basic multiplication. Okay, so we have 2. And then 9 times 8 is 72. So I am going to put my 2 in the ones place. Now I'm going to carry my 7. Then I have 1 times 8 gives me 8. And I'm going to add that to 7. And my answer is 152. So my numerator is going to be 152. And then, excuse me, I am also going to go ahead and multiply the bottom numbers together, which gives me 12 times 5. Uh-oh. All right, make that. Okay. 2 times 5 is 0. I am going to add or carry my 1, and 1 times 5 gives me 5. Add it to 1 gives me 6. So my denominator is going to be 60. Now, excuse me, we have an answer that is an improper fraction. My throat was getting a little dry there. So you can actually do this one of two ways. And I'm going to try my best to show you both ways of how to do this, but you have to pick the way that is comfortable for you. Okay, so because I know that this is nothing more than a division problem, one of the things that I can do is I can simply divide. So one of the ways that I can convert this improper fraction to a mixed fraction, I can simply divide. Okay. And again, if you are not as confident or as strong in your division as you should be, please take this opportunity to study, research multiplication tables and division tables. That's going to be very important. So I have 60 divided by 152. And this is nothing more than basic division again. So I am just going to divide 60 into 152. I know my whole number is going to be 2. And I'm going to multiply 2 times 60, which gives me 120. Okay. And that leaves me with 32 as my remainder. Now 32 is going to serve, and I'm going to go ahead and write it over here because I do not have enough room. So 2 is going to be my whole number, and 32 will serve as my new numerator, and that will be over 60. Now, I do have a mixed fraction. However, I still must simplify because 32 over 60 is not in its simplest form. So I believe there is a video also that shows you how to divide or how to simplify. So again, I will leave all of the fractions videos that are in the Fundamentals of Math playlist. I will be sure to leave that at the end of the video. So that way you can have an opportunity to go back and watch those videos and get step-by-step instructions on how to simplify. So 32 and 60. So remember what you're going to do, you're going to find the greatest common factor, okay? And I believe the greatest common factor for this one, I'm going to try 4. I'm just going to start off with 4. I'm starting off with 4 because I know that 32 and 60 are even numbers. And so because they're even numbers, I know if I start off with 2, that means I'm going to have to divide by 2 again. So 2 times 2 gives me 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and divide my fraction by 4. Okay, so remember, we are not focused on the whole number. So we do not include the whole number in this. We are only working with the fraction. And so when I do this, I have 4 goes into 32. That gives me 8. So that's okay. And then I have 4 goes into 60 15 times. So this is my final answer when I convert my improper fraction to a mixed fraction. Okay, so that is my final answer for that. Now, the other way that you could potentially solve this particular problem when we get to this part, which is kind of backwards. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and make an arrow. Okay. And I'll also go ahead and change colors as well. So that way you can see the different methods on how to solve this. Okay. So okay. So what I can also do here, I can go ahead and simply just divide. I can try to make this fraction smaller. Okay, so I can go ahead and try to do that, right? So if I do that, that means I will have to find my greatest common factor again. Okay, now 152 is a large number. So what you may have to do, you may have to start dividing, I would say maybe dividing by 4, just to see if that number would work. And if that number doesn't work, then we can go on to 8 and we can try to double that. But we can start off by dividing by 4. We can try to get that number as small as possible. Okay, so I know that's going to give me 15 here. And I believe 4 divided by 152, I think that gives me 30. Well, I'll just pull out my calculator here. No need to guess. You pull out the calculator. So I have 152, and that is divided by 4. Let's see what that gives me. That gives me 38. That's what I was thinking. It gives me 38. All right. Now, again, we still have an improper fraction. So that means now I simply would have to go ahead and, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, there we go. Okay. So now I have 15 divided by 38, and that's going to give me 2, and that's going to give me 30, because 2 times 15 is 30. If I subtract 30 from 38, I have a remainder of 8, and what do you know? 8 over 15, because remember, we are keeping the same denominator. So as you can see, I did this problem 2 ways, and I still came up with the same answer. Okay, so it all depends on how comfortable you are with either you can divide first and then simplify, or you can simplify first, then divide. It's totally up to you. And as I always tell my math students, there are many different ways to get to downtown Atlanta. It doesn't matter which route you take, as long as you meet me downtown. Okay, so again, you can either, if you have a fraction that is an improper fraction, you can either divide first, then simplify as we did in the blue, or you can simplify first and then divide as we've done in the red. Okay, so it's totally up to you how you want to solve that problem. Okay, and so then we have one more problem, which is the division problem. And again, we are going to work through step by step. So make sure that you're paying attention. And again, if you're watching this as a playback video, you can pause the video, take your notes, you can rewind, You can fast forward, and that's the beauty of technology. So you can work at your own pace. Okay. Now, my next problem says I have 1 and 7/9 divided by 1 and 2/3. Okay. Now, remember, you're not going to divide 1 into 1, and you're not going to divide 7 into 2 because that doesn't come out evenly, and you cannot divide 9 into 3. Okay. So please do not break down each number and try to divide them, because that is the incorrect way of solving divide and mixed fractions. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm trying something different today. Body armor. It's good stuff. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, again, I am now going to change each mixed fraction into an improper one. And again, you're going to see why it is easier to do that. And I'm going to change my color back to blue here. All right. So now, okay. Now I have 9 multiplied by 1, and that gives me 9. I'm going to add 9 to this 7. So 9 plus 7 gives me 16/9. Okay. Now, I am not going to change anything yet. I'm still going to bring my division sign down, because remember, this is a step-by-step process. Okay, so I want to make sure that I cover each step as clearly and concisely as possible. So again, I now have 1 and 2/3, and I want to convert this into an improper fraction. So I have 3 multiplied by 1. Okay, that gives me 3. And I'm going to add 3 to 2, which gives me 5. 5 is now going to serve as my new numerator, and I'm going to keep the same denominator. Okay. All right. So now I have 2 of my fractions that have been converted from from mixed fractions to improper fractions. But now I'm going to now follow the keep, change rule. I am going to keep my first fraction the same. So I'm simply just going to rewrite 16/9. I am going to change my division sign to multiplication, because they are inverse operations of each other. Then I'm going to flip my second fraction, and instead of it being 5/3, it is now going to be 3/5. Okay. Now, again, what I'm simply going to do now is multiply, because now I have a multiplication problem. So now I'm going to say 16 multiplied by 3, and that gives me 48. Then I'm going to multiply 9 times 5, and that gives me 45. Now, again, I have an improper fraction. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 2 ways that you can do this, how to simplify this problem, because it can be reduced, and we have to convert it into a mixed fraction. So I'm going to put this box around it. Okay. All right. So now this is what I have. I am now going to do it the first way, or show you the first way, which is simply to divide. So I'm going to divide 45 into 48. 45 goes into 48 one time. 1 is now going to be my whole number. 1 times 45 gives me 45. Remember, any number times 1 will give you that same number. And 48 minus 45 is 3. 3 is now going to serve as my new numerator. So I have 3, and then I'm going to keep my 45. Now, I still can simplify this particular fraction because 3 and 45 are multiples of 3. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this so that way you all can see it a little clearer. Okay, so now I'm going to divide 3 and 45 into 3. When I do this, my final answer is going to be 1, and 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. Remember, we are not concerned with the whole number at this point. We're only dealing with fraction. So 3 divided by 3 gives me 1, and 3 divided by 45 gives me 15. Therefore, my final answer will be 1 and 1/15. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and change this to green, give the screen a little bit of color and a little bit of flavor. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same answer, okay, and I'm going to rewrite it as 48 divided by 45. Hopefully you all can see that green, okay. It is a little on the light side, so my apologies in advance. So I am going to go ahead and simplify this fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and do the step here first, which would be to divide by 3. Okay. And when I do this, I'm going to get 3 divided by 48. This gives me 16. And 3 divided by 45 gives me 15. Now, I have simplified my improper fraction, but I cannot leave it in this way. So now I am going to make sure I have enough room. Okay. So now I'm going to take this fraction and simply divide. So when I do that, I have 15 divided by 16. 15 divided by 16 gives me 1, and 15 times 1 gives me 15. I'm going to subtract my 15 from 16, and it gives me 1 as my leftover or my remainder. So my answer is now 1 and 1/15. So again, same answer. I just did it in a different way. And remember, you have to find the way that is most comfortable for you. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay. All right. So I have shown the examples of how to multiply mixed fractions and how to divide mixed fractions. Okay, so the good news, and I'm going to scroll here. The good news is this. This is the worksheet that I will be providing and emailing to my students. Okay. If you are watching this video as a playback, I will be sure to leave this PDF link in my pinned comment section. Okay. So let me try to make this bigger real quick. All right. All right. So the good news is that we've already done numbers 1 and 2. So that's the good news. So we can go ahead and check these off because we've already done them. Now, your assignment will be to finish the rest of these problems. And there are only 15 problems. Okay. So the answer sheet will accompany the practice sheet, so that way you can check your answers, making sure that you have followed each step precisely and correctly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share right now. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share, and just wanted to get on here very, very quickly and let you all know. And just a reminder that next Thursday will be my last day teaching you all. Now, what this means is you are going to be assigned to another teacher. I do not know who your teacher will be. Okay, so I just wanted to let you all know, as I did in the video that I did about maybe 2 weeks ago, prepping you all to let you know that you will be moved to another virtual English class. Okay. Now, the good news is that everything that you need to know as it relates to your English, science, and social studies GED exam, we've already gone over it. So at this point in the game, all you would have to do, you would simply just go back and rewatch all of those videos from April to May. And I want to say it's probably about maybe 30 videos, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 20 at the most, but I've done a lot of videos since April 1st, and we are now in June. So just think about how many videos we've done. Okay, so please take this opportunity to go and rewatch those videos, do those assignments, take those notes, organize yourselves, and making sure that you're prepping yourselves for the real GED. I also have a GED playlist, okay, with science and social studies. It's not me teaching science and social studies, but I picked a couple of videos from YouTube that I felt would be beneficial and helpful to you. So please, I cannot stress enough the importance of taking the opportunity while you have it now to go ahead and study, making sure that you have your resources available, making sure that you know um, certain aspects and certain things on that may be potentially on your GED exams. Okay, the testing centers, I keep hearing different dates. I still haven't had a finalized date on when they will start back. But once I find out, I will put it in an announcement video separate. Okay, so please take this opportunity to again rewatch all of those videos that we have gone over as it relates to English. Remember, you can apply those English concepts to your social studies and science. I did a couple of videos on social studies, and I think I probably did maybe one or two on science as well. But again, please take the opportunity to look at the GED playlists. Okay. Now, again, those videos are not my videos, but I picked different videos from YouTube and I compiled it in a playlist. So that way you can have extra reinforcement and extra supplemental support. So again, take advantage of the resources. Use your time wisely. Okay. That's just so important. All right. So next week, what we're going to do is we are going to wrap up the fundamentals of math series. We are going to go into percents, how to calculate percents. We're also going to dibble and dabble a little bit with decimals, and we are going to convert fractions, decimals, and percents. Okay, so that will be the way that we are going to put a pretty little bow on this semester. Okay, so again, I want to say thank you all so very much for your flexibility, your time, and your patience. I know the past couple of months have been a whirlwind for everyone, but I do appreciate the consistency. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate you all doing your work. Okay. It's very important, again, that you do these practice sheets that I leave as PDF files. It's important that you take the opportunity to watch videos and do research. Be an independent thinker. Be an independent worker. Okay. Because I know you can do it. It's within you all to do it. All right. So again, I will be sure to email you all the worksheet. If you're watching this as a playback video, I will be sure to drop it in the pinned comment section. And I'm going to leave the links, the playlist for the fundamentals of math playlist that talks about integers and fractions thus far. I will be adding decimals percents and how to convert those on next week. So that will be a finalized playlist of the basics of math. You cannot go to algebra and geometry without having those fundamental basics of math. Okay, so if anyone is watching this as a playback video and you want to go ahead and jump in the slope, you need to make sure that you understand how integers work, fractions, how to divide integers, and all that good stuff. And if you're not ready for that, please watch all of the fundamentals of math videos in that playlist. Okay, so this is pretty much it. Told you it wasn't going to be a long class today. So that way I can have an opportunity to post this video up. So if you want to rewatch it, more than welcome to do so. I encourage you to do that. And please make sure that you like the video and thumbs it up and leave a comment. And so that way I can respond and we can have a dialogue, conversation about it. Okay. So again, Ms. Hampton loves each and every one of you. And again, thank you all so very much for your due diligence and your time and your patience coming on with me. I really do appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions, you know how to contact me. If you're watching this as a playback video, leave your question in the comments section, and I will be sure to make that happen for you. Okay. The playlist videos will probably be on this side. Subscribe to my channel over here. Either way, it's going to both be up. Okay. So with that being said, Miss Hampton loves each and every one of you. There's absolutely, emphatically nothing you can do about it. And until next week, bye. Have a wonderful and blessed Thursday.